What is up, YouTube? Weatherman here, bringing you the latest. Unfortunately, it's not going to be from Apache Tactical Airsoft. Long story short, joined the Air Force, and now I'm stationed in southern Illinois, not too far from the city of St. Louis, Missouri. Obviously, I'm going to miss the good folks over at ATA. I'm going to miss all the players that I've hung out with over the years. Obviously, I'm going to miss Tony and James and all those good guys. But on to bigger and better things as far as my career is concerned. Now, I do have some stuff coming up here in the near future. I'm planning on attending American Milsim's Broken Home 7, so you'll have that video to look forward to in the future. I don't know if I'll get the video posted in a timely fashion. Obviously, Broken Home 7 is going to be occurring at the end of May, and shortly after that, I'm actually going to be traveling to Keesler Air Force Base for training. So you might not actually see the video from Broken Home 7 until probably August or September. I'm thinking September at the latest. But that's as far as the near and up and coming stuff. For the most part, you'll be seeing primarily gameplay footage from being filmed here in southern Illinois. So today, what we're going to be doing, instead of the traditional just gameplay footage where I just let the footage roll and speak for itself, I'm actually going to change things up a little bit. This video, obviously, if you read it, is called the After Action Report. And what I hope to accomplish with this video is to give some insight as to my thought process and my decision making as I'm playing the game. So you'll see kind of scenarios that I'm put in, and I will kind of talk you through what I'm thinking, what the situation is, and how I plan on getting myself out of this pickle, or how I plan on approaching the situation. And what I hope to accomplish is newer, younger players, and maybe even some seasoned people who want to kind of up their game, give them an insight as to my thought process and what's going through my mind as I'm out there playing. Some people tend to be one-dimensional. They go out, they shoot their gun in one direction, they camp in one spot, or whatever the case may be. And I want to try to improve people's dynamic ability out there on the airsoft field. I want them to think about what they're doing and think about why they're doing it. Because once you start getting into that mindset, then you'll start noticing your skills kind of creeping up there, power creep if you want to call it. So that's what's going to be going on in this video. I hope you enjoy, so let's go ahead and get to that first scenario.
2 going right. 3 going right.
Make sure to call out your targets. Just because you see them doesn't mean your teammates see them, and it really helps with the push when you and your teammates know exactly how many opponents you're up against.
Keep pushing. Take whatever ground they give you. Don't hang out back here. You ain't gonna reach them from this distance.
Always keep in mind that airsoft rifles have a limited range. Don't just go to the first building you get to and decide that's where you're going to set up shop and start shooting. They're probably not going to hit you from there, so take advantage of the fact that they're not being aggressive and move up. You see that I'm walking around out in the open. That's because I know good and well their guns can't reach me. And should the off chance they do have the range on me, they're less likely to hit me, and I'll have plenty of time to react and get to cover. Later on in that game, our left flank began to collapse, so I moved from my position on the right side of the field to the left side in order to stem the flow of enemies that are beginning to move in. I make sure to take up an aggressive posture and positioning in order to put myself in the best location to try to get killed. However, I quickly realized that I'm the only friendly person on this side of the field, and I'm up against at least 3 enemies. So I start falling back to try to get a better position and catch them out in the open when they try to move up. Making sure to pay attention to all aspects of my surroundings, including noises, I heard what I believed was someone crashing into a set of oil drums that were located not that far from my current position. I peeked the corner to see if perhaps I could get a shot on them. However, I had no angle, so I decided to once again fall back to get better positioning, as so that way I'm not getting flanked.
Friendly. Left side, watch out. Watch the left side, they've pushed way up here.
Again, make sure to call out targets. Just because you know what's going on doesn't mean your allies know what's going on. So as I'm falling back, I see one of my teammates there, and I flag him down to let him know that I'm friendly, but I make sure to let him know that the enemy are still following me and pushing deeper and deeper into our territory.
They've pushed way up on this side. Yeah. Just keep them locked down.
So right after checking out the left side of the field, I moved to the other side of the building to kind of gauge the battlefield, see where people are, see where the enemies are, see where my allies are. And at this point, I'm just trying to take in as much information as possible so I can begin to make a decision. Now right here, I do know that I have at least one ally over on the right side of the field. I have two allies in the building that I'm currently sitting at, and I'm checking to see where the enemies are, and I even take a close call there from the middle of the field. Once I see my ally who was on my right flank go down, I realize I'm going to have to move up to try to aid on the right side of the field. Now, I don't know where the enemy who killed him was. I just knew that I had to basically haul ass and get over there to try to slow down any potential rush that may come from the right side.
They got guys pushing up the middle too. We are severely in a bad position right now. Tango in the next building up. Oh, there's a hole. You have a guy who's moved up to this first building right here. To the left. They're behind us! They're behind us!
I realize that our left rear flank has once again become compromised and the guys guarding the rear have been taken out. So I reposition to a building that gives me line of sight not only on the enemies attacking from the left rear flank, but also allows me to continue to engage enemies on the right side of the field. Here's where things get quite complicated. Now, I decided to freeze frame it here because I have a lot to explain. Now, you faintly heard my teammate call hit, which by my count makes me the last person standing. So I'm going to decide to use the building that I currently have as cover as a means of preventing the enemy that I was engaging from seeing me. I'm going to run in a direct path from that building to the trench, and I'm going to use the trench as cover. It's deep enough in this part of the field to where if I just stay low, they're likely not going to see me moving along that trench. Now, once I'm actually inside that trench, I'm going to work my way down the right side of the field. By my estimation, there should only be one enemy on this right side, and if I'm hedging my bets correctly, he shouldn't expect to see me in the trench. So that's going to be my play from here. Let's see how it pans out. So at this point in my trench run, I haven't been able to locate the one enemy that I suspect is still on this side of the field. So I take this opportunity, since I'm wide out in the open, to work my way up to this little ridge line on the opposite side of the trench, just to put distance between me and whoever might still be over here on this right side. There's some kind of tall reeds that hang out on this right side of the trench, so I'm going to use that to cover the best of my ability and continue to work down this right side and see if I can't find this guy. And once he's eliminated, I then have a better chance of engaging the people who have already flanked all the way around on the left side. Despite the fact that I'm fairly certain it's 5 versus 1 right now, I still take time to slow down, get a lay of the battlefield, and try to figure out exactly where everyone is right now, because the more I know where the enemy is, the better chance I have at eliminating them. I finally spotted that one enemy I suspected was over here. Now that I know where he is, it's time to eliminate him. Here, I made sure to take just a little moment to control my breathing since I was exhausted from the running I've done in this game, to make sure that the first few shots that I fire are on target and I ensure that I get this kill. After I kill that enemy, I take a quick second to double check the positioning of the enemies that I was running from before. Once I confirm that they're still slowly making their way up that side of the field, but it's clear they don't know where I am, I take that opportunity to press my attack towards other enemies that may be lurking back here behind enemy lines. So this guy has clearly seen me and he's moving up to engage me. I fired off a few shots hoping to get a lucky kill, which didn't happen, but it's enough to temporarily suppress him. So while he's hiding out in that building, I take this opportunity to reposition. Now while I'm repositioning, I make sure to use the buildings to block his visual of me, and I also make sure that I move quickly enough so that way he doesn't see me while he's peeking around the corner. Now he didn't call out my position to his teammates, which gives me a little bit of extra time to deal with him, as well as fall back to a safe position once I've dealt with him. I round the corner, ready to engage that enemy I was shooting at earlier, but to my surprise I discover that the guys who flanked around at the very beginning of the video have now moved back into the middle of the field. Luckily, they didn't know where I was because I had been so mobile, and so I'm able to catch them with their gun and guard down, allowing me to score 2 easy kills. By staying mobile and playing aggressive, I'm once again able to catch an enemy off guard when he rounds the corner to discover that I've changed position to a more aggressive stance.
I didn't see you.
Yeah, once y'all had me got up behind us, I beelined it towards the grass.
Yeah, I saw.
I got in behind y'all.
I went above you, dude. I went down. I was like, oh god.
I take pride in living by one philosophy. If you take your eyes off of me, I'm going to flank you.
Sadly, all good things must come to an end despite the best laid plans. It came down to one lucky shot while I was sprinting in between buildings. Now, as much as I was upset by getting shot in the backpack, I was still kind of happy at the same time. I did a very good job, I thought, of getting in there, engaging the enemy, repositioning when I needed to, and considering that it was 6v1 for most of this game, I gave them absolute hell. I can assure you no one on that team expected that one person would do the damage that I did. But because I made smart decisions at the right time, I was able to hang my head high walking off the field, despite the fact that we basically got our asses kicked. So a couple things that I want to talk about, and I hope you take these pointers away from this because they were prevalent throughout the entire video. Here's how I'm going to break it down. First thing I want you to take away is speed, surprise, and violence of action. Some of you may have heard of this before, some of you may not have. Basically what that phrase boils down to is move quickly, move quietly, and when you attack, attack ferociously. I did this throughout the video. I moved quite often, and I moved quickly. And I moved in a way so that way the enemy wouldn't know what my position was, and when it was time for me to attack, I unleashed hell. Now, there were times where I moved quickly, and I moved kind of violently, and as a result, I caught the enemy off guard, which still kind of ties into the surprise aspect. That phrase guides how I play the game of Airsoft, because at the end of the day, I'm coming after you. I'm a very aggressive player, and that's my play style. That might not be yours, but I found that this is the most effective way to actually go out there and play. The next pointer I want to bring across is positioning. In the early parts of this video, I talked about positioning. I realized I was in a bad spot, that the enemy had easy flanking routes on my position, so what I did was I decided to fall back and reposition in such a way to give me a better advantage. Don't be afraid to do this when you're out there in the airsoft field. Oftentimes people feel like, oh, I'm pinned down, I'm in a bad spot. Get the heck out of there. Don't just sit there and take the brunt of the punishment. Reposition yourself so you're effective, because if you're pinned down and you're not returning fire, you're really not effective on the battlefield. So you need to make sure that you're positioning yourself just right to maximize your effectiveness. I'm going to tie positioning into the environmental aspect of it. Use the environment to your advantage. If there's buildings, use them for cover. In my case, I use them quite frequently for concealment. Because of the size of some of the structures, I made sure that I utilized that to my advantage so the enemy didn't know where I was going. I would break contact on a regular basis, use the buildings so that way they couldn't see me, and then next time they saw me, it was down the sight of my barrel because I was lighting them up, and I was usually shooting them from a position they weren't expecting me. So make sure you're using the environment not just for cover, but for concealment. If the enemy doesn't know where you are, they can't kill you. The final point I want to make, and you saw this more in the early parts of the video when I still had teammates live, was communication. And that's a two-way street. Not only should you make sure that you're communicating to your teammates what you're seeing, where the enemy is, what the enemy was doing, you also need to be receptive of that communication. If your teammates are telling you these things, you need to pay attention to it. And you need to think about, am I in the right position to engage the enemy? You need to think about, maybe I should fall back. Sometimes you just need to communicate things like, hey man, you're kind of far back here. There's no way you're going to hit the enemy at this range. You need to move up a little bit. And if you're the person being told that, take advantage of the other person's knowledge. Move up a little bit to better position yourself to engage the enemy. These are four of the key aspects that I thought were prevalent throughout this video. I hope you take them to heart. I hope you implement them in your game. And I hope I can see you on the battlefield.
You had no side or back cover, so I was going to try to get in behind you and spray you.
I knew it was going to be slim. I still can't believe I hit you.